watches. Political cow unveils the lies. Behind the screen, wisdom surges, lighting up hate with her eyes. In the shadows, secrets lurk. She exposes, she ignites. With every post she does the work, unmasking darkness, revealing lights. Political cow, the beacon bright, unveiling truth, banishing night. With every post she does the work, unmasking darkness, revealing lights. Oh, what? Political cow, the beacon bright, unveiling truth, banishing night. Her voice cuts through, stark and raw, shattering deception, breaking the law. Icons crumble, empires fall. She stands tall, fierce and cold. Her voice echoes a thunderous call. In the chaos, her strength unfolds. False prophets scatter, truth ascends. The world watches, mesmerized. Political cow's battle never ends. In her light, dark meets its demise. Political cow, the beacon bright, unveiling truth, banishing light. At every post she does the work, unmasking darkness, revealing lights. Political cow, the beacon bright, unveiling truth, banishing night. Her voice cuts through, stark and raw, shattering deception, breaking the law. Political cow, political cow. Political cow, political cow. The beacon bright, unveiling truth, banishing night. Her voice cuts through, stark and raw, shattering deception, breaking the law. Breaking the law, breaking the law, breaking the law. Political cow. Icons crumble, empires fall. She stands tall, fierce and cold. Her voice echoes a thunderous call. In the chaos, her strength unfolds. False prophets scatter, truth ascends. The world watches, mesmerized. Political cow's battle never ends. And in her light, dark meets its demise. False prophets scatter, truth ascends. Truth ascends. The world watches, mesmerized. Political cow's battle never ends. In her light, dark meets its demise.
Hey, what's going on, people? Well, for tonight's session, thought I might do something a little bit different. There's a lot of good content on the White House website that I don't think many people are actually paying attention to and taking a look at. Unlike past presidencies where there hasn't been all that much stuff going on, there's summaries of what's going on. You see the titles up here. The Trump Effect shows no slowdown and talks through recent events and actions and so forth, makes connections. So the level of visibility and the desire to make connections of action that they've taken, cause effect sort of scenario, I like that. I want to see more of that. And I mean, you got to think we're 2 days away from being 1 month into the presidency, and there's been so much that has gone on to date. I feel pretty excited about it personally. Hold on, let me get my stuff straightened out here. So, I'll get that fixed up here in maybe a little bit. So let me get just a couple of things here going up front. I did want to, again, as I've been talking about, I think continuously, I'm not thrilled with what the market looks like coming up here. I feel like there is something brewing. We need to really have some focus and attention on this stuff. And the data points I'm always looking at, the household surveys coming in saying, hey, 71%, right? That's a massive number. 71% of Gen Z folks skip meals in order to make ends meet, or they struggle to pay rent on a month-to-month basis. And people then wonder why the youth vote went to Trump in a landslide. It's because those are the massive disconnects of everybody coming out of college with the promise of college that was given to them, and the workforce and the system not being quite set up as expected or as it had been advertised to them, right? 71% can't make rent. Overall, nationwide, it's 50%, according to the Redfin survey that's come out. The survey came out in November. I think they do it at least twice a year, so we probably should have another one refreshing here, maybe in April, which that'll be telling as to how things have progressed from that point. Is 2 months, 2.5 months, 3 months enough for that to shift? I don't think it is, but it's a good level set and understanding as to how things are really going, because the money, the money printing has inflated asset prices, which includes the stock market, which is the measure of success that Democrats have held onto for so long. But I think it's pretty clear that's not exactly what's going to drive us over the mark. So, with that said, I wanted to recognize our channel sponsor, Noble Gold. Go to politicalcowgold.com, and it's very relevant to what we're talking about. The market can change in an instant. You look at NVIDIA investors, they lost $600 billion of market value. It was wiped out overnight, and there's no second chances behind it. Noble Gold Investments is alerting all of their clients to diversify now. Market crashes don't wait. They strike fast. They devastate the unprepared. But for smart investors, they're a step ahead. They've protected and they've prepared their savings. So for almost a decade now, Noble Gold Investments has helped thousands to protect their wealth with gold IRAs and with physical gold. With over $2 billion in precious metal sales, Noble Gold is the trusted choice for Americans serious about financial security. It's gold, it's real, it's yours, it retains value. I think it was floating around $3,800 an ounce recently. I actually didn't check it today, but it's increased significantly over time. And right now, as you can see on the screen there, right now when you open an account, you can get 2 5-ounce Silver America, the beautiful coins, for free with a qualified account. So the question is for you then, are you diversified? If not, when will you act? Is it after your portfolio goes down 10%, 20, 30%? Or do you take action now and protect your portfolio and protect your wealth? So the next market crash, it's not going to send a warning sign out there, right? So go take a look at politicalcowgold.com, and it'll take you to the Noble Gold website, and you can take a look at things from there. So again, thank you to our channel sponsor, Noble Gold. Oops, let's get this out of the way. All right, with that said, let's tune in. Make sure we got the audio straightened out here. Yeah, we got the audio looking good. Let's check out some of the high news stories that are going here. The Trump effect shows no slowdown. All right, what do we got going on here? Let's see what's going on. Got to double check my settings here. One sec, folks. Okay, I think I fixed that. Sorry, let's start again. How about that? Let's start again. A bit of an audio issue there. Here we go.
Article's Trump effect shows no slowdown. February 17th, 2025. In his first month back in office, President Donald J. Trump has taken extraordinary action to usher in a new golden age of America. through border security, deregulation, government accountability, and leveling the playing field for American workers, to name a few. The positive effects of President Trump's policies continue to be felt across the country. Here are some headlines you may have missed this weekend. Top automaker could move some production out of Mexico amid Trump tariff talks, CEO says. Trump tariffs spark exciting time for Ohio steel plant as CEO eyes adding jobs, boosting productivity. San Diego migrant shelter closes after no new arrivals since Trump took office. Over 100 employees laid off. Doge discovers $1.90 billion HUD money misplaced by Biden administration. USDA axes millions in contracts, including $230,000 for Brazilian forest and gender consultant. Border czar Tom Homan. In the last 24 hours, the U.S. Border Patrol has encountered a total of 229 aliens across the entire southwest border. That is down from a high of over 11,000 a day under Biden. I started as a Border Patrol agent in 1984, and I don't remember the numbers ever being that low. President Trump promised a secure border, and he is delivering.
So you could see there's clear indications of the policy principles that they stood behind and the response and the reaction that you're seeing by the media, the numbers. The startling one for me, of course, is 229 border encounters versus 11,000 a day. I don't even know how that's possible. How does that even compute? You look between what has happened over that time. Let's dig into one of these. Which one should we take a look at here? And drop it in the chat. I'm looking at the YouTube here for some of the chats. Let me see. Anyone on the TikTok? Yeah, I appreciate you guys on the TikTok over there too. Do I have a consolidated chat stream? Let's check it out. I do. All right. Let's check out one. Automaker told they could move production out of Mexico. Let's take a look at this one here. Fox News reporting in on this. Interesting.
Top automaker could move some production out of Mexico amid Trump tariff talks, CEO says. Nissan CEO said a transfer for building US exported cars is on the table. Trump tariffs could lead to a U.S. manufacturing renaissance, Joseph Wang. MonetaryMacro.com. CIO Joseph Wang argues President Donald Trump's tariffs on Canada and Mexico are more than just a negotiating tactic on making money. Nissan CEO Makoto Uchida suggested President Trump's tariffs could force the car manufacturer to shift its production outside of Mexico. From Mexico to the U.S., we are exporting a significant number of cars this fiscal year. 320,000 units are exported from Mexico to the U.S., and if the high tariffs are imposed, we need to be ready for this. And maybe we can transfer the production of these models elsewhere. If this were the decision, we will think how we can make it a reality while monitoring the situation, Uchida said. According to a translation on Reuters, the move could be a major blow to Mexico's auto production sector, as nearly 670,000 vehicles were made by Nissan in the country last year, with over 456,000 of those being exported. According to the Spanish language UNAPI, the outlet said Nissan ranks second in Mexico for those metrics after General Motors. White House economist says reciprocal tariff negotiations with other countries underway. White House counselor for Trade and Manufacturing Peter Navarro detailed the most potent weapons Trump has against inflation on Mornings with Maria. Chip Somo de Villa, Getty Images. We are exporting a large volume to us, so if there's a high tariff, this would have huge implications on our business. So we need to monitor this carefully. Trump's 25% tariffs on Mexico are currently on hold until at least March, following a conversation with Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum. Trump has argued that the primary goal of tariffs on the United States' southern neighbor is to promote border security. Nissan CEO Makoto Uchida speaks during a Bloomberg television interview at the company's global headquarters in Yokohama, Japan, on November 29, 2021. Kiyoshi Ota, Bloomberg via Getty Images. It was a very friendly conversation, wherein she agreed to immediately supply 10,000 Mexican soldiers on the border separating Mexico and the United States. These soldiers will be specifically designated to stop the flow of fentanyl and illegal migrants into our country, Trump said in a Truth Social post after the conversation with Sheinbaum, as critics argued that Mexico has sent in border troops multiple times in previous years. What's happening with Trump's tariffs on China, Canada, and Mexico? Still, Trump said that conversations between the two countries will now be conducted by cabinet officials, including Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, according to the Post at the time. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent discussed global trade and Trump's tariff plans on Mornings with Maria Friday. Paul Morigi, Getty Images. Click here to read more on Fox Business. However, the possibility of tariffs resuming is causing popular companies in the United States, like Nissan, to consider actions to avoid higher costs if their production lines are based out of Mexico, China, or Canada. Besides the tariffs with Mexico, the White House announced there would be reciprocal tariffs on countries that add a premium to the cost of American goods. By making trade more reciprocal and balanced, we can reduce the trade deficit, grow the United States economy, and improve our trade relationships with trading partners to the benefit of American workers, manufacturers, farmers, ranchers, entrepreneurs, and businesses, Trump said in a memorandum on Thursday.
Pretty interesting. So that's a pretty big deal, right? And you look at this other one. Trump tariffs spark an exciting time for Ohio steel plant as CEO eyes adding jobs, boosting productivity. Let's see what kind of capital investment might be happening here in the United States.
Trump tariffs spark exciting time for Ohio steel plant as CEO eyes adding jobs, boosting productivity. Fox Digital exclusively spoke with the CEO of JSW USA, Robert Simon, who has been a leader in the steel industry for more than 30 years. White House defends reciprocal tariffs after Trump issues new executive orders. Fox News senior White House correspondent Jackie Heinrich joined the special report to discuss President Donald Trump's announcement of reciprocal tariffs on trading partners. First on Fox, President Donald Trump's tariffs will be a boon for an Ohio-based steel mill and its employees, the CEO of JSW Steel USA, a subsidiary of a massive India-based steel manufacturer, told Fox News Digital in an exclusive interview. It's a good piece of the formula that results in our company increasing utilization in the next 12 months, from 68% to probably 84%, and beyond that in years to come. So it's a very exciting time for us. JSW Steel USA CEO Robert Simon told Fox News Digital of Trump's tariff plan in a phone interview on Thursday evening. Simon has served as the CEO of JSW Steel USA since March of last year, bringing with him more than 30 years of experience in the steel industry. He spoke to Fox News Digital following Trump announcing his administration's fair and reciprocal plan on trade, which he celebrated during a press conference as a project that will flood the U.S. with jobs as trading partners move their industries to U.S. soil to avoid tariffs. JSW USA is a subsidiary of Mumbai-headquartered JSW Group, which owns India's second-largest private steel company, JSW Steel. JSW USA has 2 steel locations in the U.S., one at Mingo Junction, Ohio, and another operation in Baytown, Texas. Trump details his reciprocal tariff plans, asks foreign countries to treat us fairly, deliver reciprocity. JSW Steel USA CEO Robert Simon spoke with Fox Digital in an exclusive interview. JSW Steel USA. Simon told Fox News Digital that across his more than 30 years in the industry, U.S. steel manufacturers have complied with strict environmental and safety practices and paid their employees fairly. While foreign steel manufacturers could skirt U.S. regulations while exporting their goods to the U.S., we, as steel producers, we paid our employees fair wages, treated them fairly, met some of the most, if not the most strict, environmental requirements in the world, and those practices in our markets, with the simple supply-demand equation, establishes market pricing. The JSW Steel USA facility in Mingo Junction, Ohio. JSW Steel USA. The frustration is, how is it fair that others that don't treat their employees the same way, don't follow the same rules, don't follow environmental practices? They get government subsidies. How is it fair that they can come into our markets and take market share when it's not an equal playing field? He said. Simon said the Ohio plant alone will likely see a minimum increase of 100 jobs in the next year under Trump's tariff plan. As you look at that increase in utilization, coupled with the overall increase in production that we foresee in the next 3 to 5 years, we estimate, at a minimum, a 100 jobs increase in the next 12 plus months associated with that utilization rate increase, he said. Who gets hit hardest by steel and aluminum tariffs? Trump's administration issued a fact sheet last week restoring a 25% tariff on steel, which detailed domestic steel and aluminum industries and achieving sustainable capacity utilization of at least 80%. JSW Steel USA told Fox News Digital that they are already on track to increase their utilization rate from 68% to 84%, higher than Trump's target number of 80%. Under the first Trump administration, JSW Steel USA notably sued the federal government in 2019 over tariffs regarding imported steel slab materials. The company now makes all domestic steel slab materials as part of the JSW Group's belief that its facilities both make products and supply the product in the communities they serve. President Donald Trump speaks at a rally at Circa Resort and Casino on January 25, 2025, in Las Vegas. Ian Mall Getty Images. Simon celebrated in his comments to Fox Digital that Ohio families that had long worked in the steel industry are making a return to the factory as the industry reinvigorates under the first and second Trump administrations. JSW USA purchased the Ohio factory in 2018 after it had operated as a Wheeling Pittsburgh steel plant but sat dormant for years. Trump advisor teases new golden age of U.S. steel and aluminum. This is a company that had been shut down for over 7 years when we acquired it. We hired a workforce, trained a workforce, all from the local area. What's really cool to see is we've got employees whose grandparents and great-grandparents worked in this same company, which ended up being shut down. And they're part now of reviving that company and bringing it to an offering of products that's extremely competitive and extremely impressive in terms of its value-added products, Simon said. Trump announced a reciprocal tariff plan on Thursday, tapping Howard Lutnick, his nominee for Commerce Secretary, to produce a report on reciprocal trade relations within 180 days. Lutnick said Thursday that he will have the report ready for Trump by April 1st. Howard Lutnick, Commerce Secretary nominee, joins President Donald Trump in the Oval Office of the White House on Monday, February 10, 2025. Al Drago Bloomberg via Getty Images. What are tariffs, how do they work, and who pays for them? On trade, I have decided for purposes of fairness that I will charge a reciprocal tariff, meaning whatever countries charge the United States of America, we will charge them no more, no less. In other words, they charge us a tax or tariff, and we charge them the exact same tax or tariff. Very simple, he said at the White House on Thursday. Trump touted that the plan will lead to a job boon in the U.S. as foreign trading partners move operations stateside to avoid the reciprocal tariffs. They can build a factory here, a plant, or whatever it may be here, Trump said Thursday afternoon from the Oval Office. And that includes the medical, that includes cars, that includes chips and semiconductors, that includes everything. If you build here, you have no tariffs whatsoever. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think our country is going to be flooded with jobs. Simon told Fox News Digital that Trump's business and deal-making abilities are obvious to everybody as he whips through dozens of executive actions and orders in just a few weeks back in the Oval Office, remarking that it's pretty amazing. It's become obvious to everybody that Mr. Trump is not a politician, right? But more of a business person stepping in and leading our country, from much more of a business perspective than as a career politician. Like it or not, for those folks that have different opinions, this results in very quick negotiations. I don't think I've ever in my time here seen so much movement, so much decision-making, so many decisions being made in this shorter period of time since he's been in office. It's pretty amazing, he said. JSW USA purchased the Ohio factory in 2018, after it had sat dormant for years. JSW Steel USA. Click here to GET, the Fox News app. Trump also met with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Thursday, and the two discussed trade, the economic relationship between India and the United States, and military sales. The pair also committed to drive opportunities for U.S. and Indian companies to make greenfield investments in high-value industries in each other's countries, including naming JSW's operations at Texas and Ohio as a prime ongoing investment in the U.S., according to a joint statement from the two nations. President Donald Trump and India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi shake hands during a news conference at the White House, February 13, 2025. AP photo, Alex Brandon. The steel tariffs enacted by President Trump are a necessary step in leveling the playing field for American steelworkers and manufacturers. Foreign competitors fail to protect their workforce at the same safety standards, do not compensate them fairly, and produce steel that contributes to environmental degradation, all the while seeking to flood the U.S. market, taking advantage of our strong economy, driving a collapse of our markets in the process, Simon added in comment provided to Fox Digital.
So again, heavy focus on American workers, exemplified through this steel action. Excuse me. They're focused on, focused on union-based roles, manufacturing. In this case, dealing with raw materials, mining. I'm curious what else may come out of this. We'll just pick one more. This one was an interesting one. Migrant shelter closes after arrivals from Trump took office. Doge discovers $1.9 billion of HUD money misplaced. What the heck happened there? How did this much money get misplaced? Let me know how that's possible.
Doge discovers $1.90 billion HUD money misplaced by Biden administration. $1.90 billion was misplaced by the Biden administration, the Department of Government Efficiency DOGE announced this week in detailing the startling discovery. $1.9 billion of HUD money was just recovered after being misplaced during the Biden administration due to a broken process, DOGE revealed on X, posting screenshots of the receipts. These funds were earmarked for the administration of financial services, but were no longer needed. Secretary Turner and DOGE worked together to fix the issue and deobligated the funds, which are now available for other use by the Treasury, DOGE added. The announcement comes on the heels of Turner announcing a DOGE task force at the Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD. I'm happy to announce the DOGE task force here at HUD, Turner, who was confirmed by the Senate earlier this month, said in a video posted to X on February 13th. We will be very detailed and deliberate about every dollar spent in serving tribal, rural, and urban communities across America, he said. With President Trump's leadership, business as usual, the status quo, is no longer the posture that we will take. And with the help of DOGE, we will identify and eliminate all waste, fraud, and abuse, he vowed. We've already identified $260 million in savings and still have much more to accomplish. DOGE has continued to boast of more successes despite panic from Democrats, also announcing millions more in taxpayer savings in the form of a poem on Valentine's Day. Related, MTG shuts down Jasmine Crockett's rant about Elon Musk, DOGE. Roses are red, violets are blue. Today, DOGE and 10 agencies made 586 wasteful contracts bid adieu. With a ceiling value of $2.1 billion and $445 million in savings secured, a perfect Valentine's gift for all taxpayers, well-earned and deserved. The poem reads, today's batch includes a $8.2 million USDA contract for environmental compliance services for the implementation of pilot projects developed under the Partnership for Climate-Smart Commodities. It added, providing details.
No, I would seriously suggest that everybody goes to the Doge X account that you see right here and just follow it. See all the stuff that gets released out there. You can also go to doge.gov. They have a government URL, which they publish a lot of good content as it's happening, along with the specific data and everything behind it. I think stuff like this, we probably need a crowdsource. I was hoping that Elon might put even more high for your face. Very funny. That's a good username, high. Anyway, I was hoping that they might put this stuff out there more to get it crowdsourced, because you're doing a lot of work with this tight-knit team that's just combing over the data. But what if it got crowdsourced and it had ultimate visibility and transparency? I think a lot of stuff would get revealed in that point.
DOGE also announced on Friday that a letter was sent to the Departments of Education in all 50 states, notifying them they have 14 days to remove all DEI programming in all public schools. Institutions which fail to comply may face a loss of federal funding, DOGE warned, attaching the letter. Sponsored stories. Taking metformin? Use this household food to lower blood sugar naturally. Comments. Please let us know if you're having issues with commenting. 5,659, 5,000.
Looks like that was it. All right. So this one was an interesting article. Come on, get back there. Get back. Coming from this main piece on the Trump effect and examples of how it's continuing to make a difference out there. Let's see what else we got. Approves Kentucky man to the location. Message on the 25 Daytona 500. Let's see what he's got to say here.
Briefings and statements. Presidential message on the 2025 Daytona 500, February 16th, 2025. Today, I look forward to joining tens of thousands of American patriots in Daytona Beach, Florida for the Great American Race, the legendary Daytona 500, and the official start to the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series. This iconic race showcases the fastest, most fearless drivers in motorsports, who represent our nation's love of tradition, competition, and automotive innovation. The Daytona 500 brings together people from all walks of life, from lifelong racing fans to first-time spectators. They all join in celebrating a shared passion for speed, adrenaline, and the thrill of the race. From the roar of the engines on the track to the echo of the Star-Spangled Banner soaring through the stands, the Daytona 500 is a timeless tribute to the speed, strength, and unyielding spirit that make America great. That spirit is what will fuel America's golden age, and if we harness it, the future is truly ours. Since the very beginning, NASCAR has carried forth a proud tradition of honoring our heroic service members for their unwavering courage. While fans from around the world gather today at Daytona International Speedway, we extend our unending gratitude to the selfless men and women in uniform who risk their lives to keep us safe. When the engines start, or the checkered flag waves, and all 500 thrilling miles in between, our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Coast Guardsmen, and Guardians stand ready to defend cherished traditions like this, and for that, we are truly thankful. Melania and I send our best wishes for a safe and successful race. May God bless our armed forces, and may He continue to bless the United States of America.
All right, pretty good. I'm telling you, like, this is some good stuff here that they published that you see them bring up in certain news networks, not others. It's rather inconsistent, but Interview Trump by Jamie Little, Fox Sports. Oh, really? Oh, it's a question answer thing right there. Remarks by the president. Okay. Here's one. National Energy Dominance Council. This is going to be a very big deal. I don't think folks realize it, and then Democrats don't even want to talk about it.
Fact sheets. Fact sheet. President Donald J. Trump establishes the National Energy Dominance Council, February 14th, 2025. Positioning American energy for the next century. Today, President Donald J. Trump signed an executive order establishing the National Energy Dominance Council. The National Energy Dominance Council will be established within the Executive Office of the President, chaired by the Secretary of the Interior Doug Burgum, and vice-chaired by the Secretary of Energy Chris Wright, and comprised of members of President Trump's cabinet and key government agencies. The council will advise President Trump on strategies to achieve energy dominance by improving the processes for permitting, production, generation, distribution, regulation, and transportation across all forms of American energy. It will recommend a national energy dominance strategy to the president aimed at cutting red tape, enhancing private sector investments, and advancing innovation. The council will facilitate cooperation between the federal government and domestic energy partners, ensuring policy consistency. It will also consult with various public and private sector stakeholders to expand energy production and address cost barriers. Lowering prices and strengthening American economic security, championing domestic energy production is vital both for mitigating price shocks to American families and de-risking the energy supply chain for our nation as well as our allies. American energy dominance is the most reliable way to ensure the stability and affordability of American energy prices. Gasoline prices, as well as overall household energy prices, increased 30% under President Biden. The Biden-Harris administration dramatically slowed the growth rate of American energy production and development, including by instituting a federal oil leasing moratorium, increasing energy permitting times by multiples of what they had been under President Trump, and removing hundreds of million acres from being available for energy production. Over the last 4 years, it is estimated that our nation produced over 2 billion fewer barrels of oil than anticipated by trend, had President Trump's energy policies been kept intact. A vast quantity of lost supply that could have lessened the burden of energy prices on American families. Developing American energy resources will enable our nation to reduce its reliance on foreign entities, including strategic adversaries. While creating policies to restrict American production, the Biden administration asked OPEC Plus to increase production to meet American energy demand. As energy prices rose, the Biden administration was reluctant to enforce American oil sanctions on rogue regimes, allowing Iran to export over 1 million barrels of oil per day through lax enforcement, up from a low of approximately 70,000 under the Trump administration, and temporarily lifting oil sanctions altogether on the Maduro regime in Venezuela. The United States is also highly dependent on China for a range of critical minerals, which has put our nation's supply chain at risk, as exemplified by China's recent weaponization of its resources through bans on exporting germanium, gallium, and antimony to the United States. As our nation makes rapid advancements in next-generation technologies, such as artificial intelligence, along with the associated data centers, and energy demand rises, it will be all the more important to expand domestic energy supply. American energy leadership is vital not only for our nation's economic and national security, but also for the security of our allies. America's liquefied natural gas (LNG) industry has played a critical role in helping Europe reduce its dependence on Russian energy, with LNG exports to Europe rising 141% in 2022 and continuing to increase to fill the gap. President Trump warned Western Europe as early as 2017 to rely on American natural gas rather than Russian energy. Restoring American energy dominance, President Trump has a demonstrated track record of empowering American energy production and will return our nation to energy dominance. During President Trump's first term, our nation became a net exporter of energy for the first time in nearly 70 years and transformed into the world's leading oil producer. President Trump expedited the LNG export license process, achieving licensing times 1/6 as long as those seen during the Biden administration, which revoked these reforms. Reduced the permitting time for drilling on federal lands, increasing permit applications by Fix the New Source review, which punished companies for repairing and upgrading coal power plants, and opened up millions of acres for domestic energy development. Under President Trump's leadership, American families saved an average of $2,500 per year in utility and gas costs, while the economy at large saw the creation of new American energy jobs.
All right, pretty interesting there. So, I mean, I would just say check out just the news page. There's 3 options at the top of the White House site now: news, administration, issues. News has quite a few interesting sections too within it: articles, briefing statements, fact sheets, so forth. I mean, I would say take a look at each one of them, right? All right. They just don't stop on Kash Patel. I don't know why. They just keep going at the guy. Let me see if I could make this a little bit bigger here. Hang on, bear with me, guys. Hopefully it's fitting for you. So they had some stuff to say about Kash Patel's nomination. And it's surprising, too, because, I mean, he's going to be approved.
Good afternoon.
It's just a matter of time
Ready to
here.
get started? Okay. My name's Glenn Ivey. I'm Congressman who represents the 4th Congressional District in Maryland. I want to thank you all for coming out today for this press conference. We've got some other members who wanted to attend, and they may still try and make it, but they're on the Judiciary Committee, and there's a hearing that's ongoing right now. So they may not be able to make it, but they're going to try. But we thought we should get started and wanted to move forward from there. And maybe when we get to the Q&A, if they arrive, we'll give them a chance to speak then. Thank you for coming. We just sent a letter over to the Senate Judiciary Committee, Chairman Grassley and Ranking Member Durbin, asking them and the other committee members to vote against Mr. Patel for FBI Director. In my view, he is probably the most unqualified candidate for the FBI directorship that I've ever seen. And, you know, there's reasons are legion. We're going to go through some of those today. And I know the Republicans on the Senate Judiciary Committee are likely to go ahead and vote to confirm him anyway, but I thought it was important to try and speak truth to power, and the letter is aimed at getting that done and making sure we let them know that we think he is not only bad for the FBI, but bad for national security and public safety, and also good for domestic enemies like the cartels in Mexico and criminal enterprises that are operating in the United States. I would note quickly before I turn it over that it's not just Democrats who are raising these concerns. You've heard that former Attorney General Bill Barr said when they talked about Patel becoming the deputy FBI director, it would happen over my dead body, was the statement that he made, and I think he published that in his book. Another one, John Bolton, former Trump NSA advisor, he demonstrated no policy aptitude at all. So these are words out of the mouths of Republicans, former Trump administration Republicans. I think it's very clear that we don't want an FBI director who's got an enemies list. We don't want an FBI director who sees his principal mission as a revenge tour. You know, James Brown, one of my favorite performers, has a song called The Big Payback. There's a place for that in funk in the dance floor, but not at the FBI. And with that, I'll turn it over to Representative McClellan, who represents the district in Virginia.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Congresswoman Jennifer McClellan. I have the privilege of representing Virginia's 4th Congressional District. And as you heard, we are here to raise the alarm of why our Senate colleagues should reject the confirmation of Kash Patel to be director of the FBI. In our letter to the Senate Judiciary Committee, we expressed our deep concerns over his lack of qualifications, over his history of inflammatory statements. But let me remind you what is at stake. The FBI stands as one of the most critical institutions in our democracy. It is tasked with defending our national security, and it is tasked with upholding the rule of law. The FBI A director must be someone who is of unimpeachable character, impartiality, and have a deep commitment to the rule of law and the administration of justice. The FBI plays a critical role in protecting public safety, in upholding civil rights, and whoever holds this position is responsible for preventing national security threats, maintaining public trust, and uncovering schemes of fraud, abuse, and corruption. Kash Patel does not possess the temperament, the professional experience, or the characteristics necessary to do this critically important job. Now, I represent Virginia, which is home to the FBI Laboratory Investigation, the Operational Technology Division, the FBI Academy at Quantico, 2 FBI field offices, and we have thousands of Virginians who work for the FBI. And those agents who serve our nation and uphold the rule of law throughout their careers deserve better for an FBI director than Kash Patel. He has literally published an enemies list. And under the Trump administration, the Department of Justice has received detailed information about over 5,000 FBI agents who were involved in investigating the January 6th insurrection. These brave men and women took an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States from enemies foreign or domestic. And just last week, the wife of one of those FBI agents who lives in Richmond detailed the fear and anxiety that they now must endure in a letter to the editor to one of the local publications in my district. And here is what she wrote. The decision to publicly name and punish these professionals does not only put their lives at risk, but also endangers their spouses, children, and loved ones. The fear we now live with is profound. The loss of anonymity has placed us in the crosshairs of political extremism, making even the most basic aspects of going to work, sending our children to school, interacting in our own communities.
Just need to pause 1 second to adjust some audio on my side. It got kind of quiet all of a sudden here. Hang on. Got that. Okay, there we go.
Brought with. He promised to dismantle the FBI on day one and turn it into a museum to the deep state. And our FBI agents, the communities they keep safe, and the American people deserve better. They deserve assurances they will not be subject to political prosecution at the hands of a federal agent. And Mr. Patel has not proven that he can do that. With that, I'd like to hand it over to my colleague from Rhode Island, Congressman Seth Magaziner.
Well, thank you very much to my colleagues, Congresswoman McClellan and Congressman Ivey, for convening us here today. I'm a member of the Homeland Security Committee. I served on that committee with Glenn, and I'm currently the ranking member for Counterterrorism, Intelligence, and Law Enforcement on the Homeland Security Committee. And we are here today to appeal one more time to any Republican senators. If you care about national security, if you care about public safety, if you care about our Constitution and our system of government, then vote no on Kash Patel. Vote no on Kash Patel, the most unqualified nominee in the history of the FBI. I want everyone to think for a moment about your hometown. In your hometown, would you feel good about a chief of police being hired who had never been a police officer before? Of course not. Yet Donald Trump is appointing someone to head the nation's most important federal law enforcement agency who has never worn a badge, never conducted an arrest, never served in law enforcement before. Woefully unqualified. Why is Donald Trump appointing someone so unqualified to lead the FBI? Because Donald Trump knows that Kash Patel will enact a political agenda on his behalf. We should not have a director of the FBI who...
You know, it's kind of funny. Recently, it may have been some of the newer Democrats, but they were saying, we've done a lot of work and we've tightened up our message. Our messaging is tightened up, so we're good to go. Not acknowledging anything from polling that's come back from the election and so forth, where again, as I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, 71% of Gen Z voters struggle to pay rent month to month. They didn't go after that stuff. You think they would adjust their party strategy and try to focus it on what the people want, but instead they've hired consultants to help them with their communications, and now they feel their messaging has gotten tighter. So you're seeing him kind of try to deliver that at this point, but I mean, is that enough? Do you want to just have a party of people that only want to win?
Who has no law enforcement experience.
I mean, win their
Who
election,
has a publicly
not win for the people.
published enemies list, who has threatened to jail members of the media simply for reporting that Joe Biden won the 2020 election, who has championed and fundraised for the January 6th rioters who attacked police officers in this very building. This is someone who is dangerous, who is unfit, and who must be rejected. The FBI plays an absolutely crucial role in combating terrorism, organized crime, drug trafficking, human trafficking, and more. It is too important an agency for someone so unqualified to come in and play political games with. That is why we are here today, and that is why we are calling on the senators to do the right thing and vote no. It is now my pleasure to introduce a colleague who serves on the Judiciary Committee, Sydney Kamlager-Dove.
Thank you, Seth, and I want to thank Jen McClellan.
I don't know who these people
and
are. They
also
threw out
Glenn
the
Ivey for leading
the
this
18
charge.
here for
My name is
the
Sydney
Democrat Party.
Kamlager-Dove. I represent California's 37th Congressional District. I just came from the Judiciary Committee, where we actually had witnesses raise their hand and swear under perjury, right, to tell the truth. It seems, well, not to perjure themselves, to tell the truth, which does not seem to be something that we care about with Kash Patel. Kash Patel is a freak, and not the Rick James kind. It is a thumbs down for Crooked Cash. This is a guy who openly attacked the FBI and compromised its relationship with the intelligence community, and now he could be running the damn thing? That is just plain stupid. The baseline qualification for any leadership position should be respecting the organization and its employees. I mean, that is a very low bar. But like 99% of Trump's nominees, Kash Patel embodies the only two attributes needed to serve in this administration: complete unqualification and an unhealthy obsession with Donald Trump. And he takes the latter to a whole new level. The first time he served in Trump's administration, he took heat for being singularly focused on pleasing Trump. And when that gig was up, he missed Trump so much that he wrote a series of children's books praising King Donald. That is sick. And now he's promising to go after those he considers the deep state and enemies of Donald Trump. And last I checked, when I just got on the website today, that is not what the website for the FBI says. It says to protect the United States and its citizens and to uphold the Constitution. But where is that line? Is he going to target Granny for posting on Facebook about Don and Elon stealing her Social Security check? Will his goons show up at the doors of election workers who resisted Donald Trump's attempts to overturn the results of the 2020 election? Who knows? We don't even have the answers for those questions. Americans should not have to worry about their FBI director being more focused on hunting down Trump's foes than terrorists. And Kash Patel is so dangerous that even Republicans warned he was bad news, until Donald Trump told them to shut up and get in line. So my question is this: why are Republicans okay with Crooked Cash lying under oath and committing perjury? And why are Republicans okay with turding up the Constitution? But if Kash Patel is confirmed, Americans will be less safe, and it will be because of every spineless, un-American, unpatriotic Republican who prioritized loyalty to Donald Trump over loyalty to their constituents and the United States Constitution. Thank you, and I'm going to give it back to Glenn Ivy.
Thank you, Representative.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to sort of understand like, a lot of the stuff that you guys have pointed to in terms of his history, his comments on podcasts. A lot of this stuff has been out there for a while. So I'm curious, do you feel like your Republican Senate colleagues are kind of willfully ignoring this information? And then I'm also kind of curious what your strategy is to kind of break through and get these problems to resonate with them before this vote.
Well, you're right. I mean, a lot of this has been out actually for years, including some of it came from his book that he wrote himself. I think Senator Durbin raised a new issue, though, with respect to whether he lied under oath, with respect to having no knowledge of the effort to purge the FBI. I think he testified he didn't know anything about it in several variations of that. But it sounds like there's a whistleblower who's saying he does. And it is a little curious that the day after he testified, the purge kind of began with the call for the name. So I think that's new information. I think any of that would be, any of these individual aspects would be, I think, disqualifying just on their own. But certainly when you add them all up together, I think that's clearly the case. Are there others who want to comment on that?
They have selective amnesia, and this is a time when you should not, when you should be doing every single thing you can to make sure.
Come to the microphone.
They have selective amnesia, and this is the absolute time when you should not. I mean, in some of the hearings we're having of substance, we are talking about terrorists, we are talking about China, we are talking about AI, we are talking about so many issues that are deeply concerning to the American people and to our national security. And it makes sense that you would have someone who's going to be heading the FBI who's honest, transparent, and saying that they're willing to uphold the Constitution. And one of their first acts, even before they are confirmed, is to commit perjury, is deeply concerning for anyone who says that they are an American.
Yeah,
Mitchell Miller, excuse me, go ahead.
No, I'll just add. I mean, look, a lot of these Republican members of Congress, Senate and House, they know that Kash Patel is a bad pick. They know he's unqualified, just like they know Tulsi Gabbard was unqualified and Pete Hegseth and many of the other nominees. But they're scared, right? They are scared of Donald Trump. They're scared of Elon Musk. But they need to be scared of the voters who elected them as well. And part of what we are doing is continuing to educate people, to sound the alarm, because ultimately, if Kash Patel, among others, is as destructive as we fear he will be, then these Republican senators are going to own that for years to come, and we need to make sure that they hear that.
All right. Mitchell Miller?
Question for Congressman Ivey. As was just alluded to, Kash Patel has said that he wanted to facetiously or not create a museum to the deep state with the FBI headquarters. As you're well aware, plans are being made for a new FBI headquarters in Maryland. Do you have concerns that his confirmation as director, if that happens, will in some ways either endanger or undermine plans moving forward for that? Also, there's been talk about what DOJ might do with the GSA, and that may be a secondary issue as well.
Well, and I've got a colleague from Virginia here, too, who may want to comment as well, so I'll give her the chance. But my initial take on that is that it's really the GSA role to make a decision about site selection, not really the FBI. In fact, they turn it over. The GSA is kind of the landlord for the federal government, and, you know, the site selection piece is their role. Whether they're going to be attacks on the GSA, apparently Elon and Donald are looking to attack every department and agency in the federal government. And the unfortunate part is, you know, there are probably things that could be done to improve the government. I'm sure that there are, but I'd say use a scalpel instead of a chainsaw. These guys are just they're just trying to push people out, as many federal employees as possible, not because it makes the government better, but it gives him additional funds to do his forthcoming tax cuts for billionaires. So, and we used to say billionaires, it was kind of a faceless term, but we now saw who was standing with him when he was inaugurated. Regular folks couldn't get in, but the richest people in the world could.
Yeah, I would just add to that. I mean, the GSA, we've already seen that part of what Elon Musk and the Doge Bros want to do is take that over, look at public lands, look at public assets, and look at what to sell off, because they're trying to get money anywhere they can to pay for this tax cut for billionaires, and they're willing to sell out the FBI and the agents in the process. And I think to the earlier point, you know, our press conference today, our letter today may not stop the Senate from confirming Kash Patel, but we will not stand silently by while this administration, whether it's through the FBI, whether it's through the OMB, whether it's through the GSA, whether it's through some made-up agency that is not authorized by anyone, run by somebody who hasn't been vetted, we will not stand silently by while you try to erode the very foundation of democracy and government that serves the American people and not King Donald.
So when FISA 702 was being negotiated, we saw Republicans and Democrats kind of forming unions on different sides of the issue. I think we could probably see DOJ reform and FBI reform attempted at some point this Congress. Do you think that's possible still?
I mean, it's going to come up again, the reauthorization. I mean, we're going to have to deal with FISA with 702 again, right? Because it was just a 2-year, a 2-year extension. So honestly, standing up here, I don't know who's on what side. I mean, I know what side I was on, but we're going to have to take it up regardless.
Specifically, Department of Justice or even FBI reform. Is that possible to partner with Republicans on, or is
look, I mean,
issue with Kash Patel getting this job?
I mean, certainly Kash Patel getting this job will make everything more complicated because, again, his interests are political, not policy, and it'll be a challenge. I think that the way to do reform is to have a debate out in the open and to compete on the basis of ideas, not to go in as an unelected billionaire and just start firing people left and right and asking people to basically fill out loyalty questionnaires because they happen to have been assigned to work on the January 6th investigation. Like, that's not reform. That is political retribution. It's tremendously damaging. It's not going to make the country more safe. It's not going to lower the cost of living, and it's not going to make us more secure. So.
Yeah, just kind of quickly on that point.
Not going to make the country more safe. It's not going to lower the cost of living, and it's not going to make us more secure. So.
Yeah, just kind of quickly.
It's tremendous.
I'm rewinding here because if you watch his body language, it really is as though they've given up. They don't have anything here. Again, I don't know if it was this gentleman or somebody else that said, I'm really happy where we are. We've tightened up our messaging quite a bit. We're good to go, basically. And it's like you're just focused on the communications. You brought in a consultant to give you a few more taglines or something, a few more buzzwords to throw out there against people. That doesn't spell like a refresh of the party platform or what they're all about to me. So watch again. You can hear a smacking noise as it hits his legs.
Tremendously damaging. It's not going to make the country more safe. It's not going to lower the cost of living, and it's not going to make us more secure. So.
Yeah, just kind of quickly on that point.
So again, earlier it's being mentioned like, hey, they're not really being genuine here. Clearly not. He doesn't believe a word he's saying.
I think I was one of the last members to make a final decision, certainly on the Judiciary Committee, before the floor vote as to which way to go. And part of that was based on meetings that we had in the SCIF where members of the Department of Justice, the FBI, National Security came in and told me things, which I can't disclose now, obviously, but it really came down to whether you trust them or not. Do you believe that they're telling you the truth, or are they just trying to hang on to the power that they have? And I trusted them in the decision that I made. Will I be able to trust the team that Trump's putting together at the Department of Defense, National Security, FBI? You got to be kidding me. I mean, Patel took the fifth instead of testifying in front of a grand jury. And then they compelled him by immunizing him to testify. And then when they asked him about it at the Senate confirmation hearing, he refused to explain what he said, even though the rule that governs grand jury secrecy explicitly says that the witness can tell people what he said in the grand jury. He refused to state it. How can you trust somebody like that? I mean, it's just incredible to me. But that's where they are.
Can you identify what
Nathan
organization?
Worcester, Epic Times. I'm wondering, once assuming he is confirmed, do you think that in the House you'll be able to launch an investigation
even something up to, given the example of the resolution to impeach Christopher Wray as FBI director, an impeachment?
Do you mean you think Democrats can push that? I mean, well, we don't control the majority, so that's challenge number one. But first step, just to give you an example, last week in the Oversight Committee, Ranking Member Jerry Conley said, Elon Musk is doing all of these things across the board, doing all these investigations, going into highly classified and personal information. He's never had a confirmation hearing. He's never given a press conference. Doge doesn't even have a website that gives any information about it. Why?
Whoa. Hold on a second. Let's fix that record. Doge.gov. Oh, look, there it is. Doge.gov, part of the government, an official website of the United States government. And here's all the information here. You can also come up here and, let's take it to workforce page. They have metrics and they have stats. That's where they're going. You can drill into each cabinet level and get more Department of Energy. See each piece of it. So there's quite a bit of data out there on Doge. I don't know what he's talking about here. Again, dishonesty, disingenuous, misdirecting, misconstruing statements. Why do they have to do that? Was this part of that new strategy they feel really good about? How they've tightened up everything?
Why don't we get a subpoena, Mr. Chairman, and have him come and testify and explain what he's doing? And then yesterday he had the nerve in the Oval Office to talk about the importance of transparency. But do you think he's actually going to come up here? No. And, of course, Comer's not going to issue a subpoena to make him come. So impeachment, if we could just get to transparency, disclosure, and accountability, that would be a big step in the right direction. But the Republicans in the House and the Senate aren't even for that, apparently.
Did anyone else want to address that question?
Yeah.
What's your name?
Yeah, Torian Small with CBS News. To your point about the ability of what your party can and can't do, there's reporting out that suggests that grassroots allies are a bit frustrated with Democrats for not being able to combat the Trump administration more, especially as it relates to Patel. Senate Democrats, especially in that committee, have laid out this case against Patel in great detail, including Senator Durbin just recently sending a letter to investigate Patel to the Inspector General's office of the DOJ. What's your response to that, to these grassroots allies potentially growing more and more frustrated that you guys aren't doing more?
Well, I agree. The only thing I would tweak on that is reach out to the Republicans. Because they're the ones that are actually controlling what happens in the Senate, certainly with the confirmation votes. Most of these have been party line votes, that have been remotely controversial. And we just did a town hall meeting last night. I was doing it with Joyce Beatty in Ohio, and people were calling in saying, what can we do to help? And one of the things we said was, you've got 2 Republican senators in Ohio. Give them a call. Let them know how you feel about what's going on and the need to, in this instance, vote against someone who's going to make the United States less safe, vote against someone who is a green light to our enemies overseas to try and take steps against us, vote against someone who doesn't really know how to take on the traffickers and the cartels, and vote against someone whose primary mission isn't to keep the country safe, but to launch a retribution tour against Donald Trump's perceived enemies. We need to keep fighting. We need to make sure we do more here in the Congress to keep it going. The courts have been great. I
don't know what this obsession of the Democrat Party is with the concept of fighting. They're constantly saying, we have to keep fighting. I'm fighting for you. I'm fighting X. Fill in the blank. I don't know why. Kamala Harris's concession speech, if you look back quite a few, I might run through that again just to kind of demonstrate it at some point in the future here, but she gave 2 concession speeches, actually 3. Anyway. The first major one that came out, and actually the other 2 as well, she talked about fighting quite a bit. Like, people need to push back. You have to keep fighting. This is something that's worth fighting for. I don't know what they're fighting against. If they stopped fighting, I suppose the party would dissolve. There's no longer a need. It's just bizarre. And it's something reiterated constantly, but you never really hear details or any level of certainty around what exactly is it you're fighting for. You're fighting against Trump. Why is that exactly? You're fighting against Elon. Why? How come? You don't want these government agencies to get optimized? You know what? How come you want to keep, sending that wasteful spend out the door every month, every day? It's bizarre.
I think there are 55 cases roughly, and I believe there's at least 8 injunctions. I don't think any injunctions have been denied anywhere in the United States, so we need to keep building on that. And then the public pushes that we've made, the rallies and the things, this is not so much just on this nomination, but on the attack on government workers has been gaining some ground too.
Yeah, and I would add on that if there's one thing in life that is certain other than death, it's math. And 218 is always greater than 215. And we need 3 House Republicans to do the right thing for the American people on this and any other issue on the House side. And we need Republicans in the Senate side to put the American people over politics and do the right thing. And so we are using the tools that the Constitution gives members of Congress in the minority party the ability to use. Those are not the only 2 tools that we as Americans have. And grassroots activists have an important role to play making their voice heard, especially putting pressure on Republicans. Hey, why don't you be one of the 3 in the House or one of the ones we need in the Senate to do the right thing? Because right now, Republicans feel the pressure if they buck Donald Trump when he's wrong. They fear repercussions. They need to also fear repercussions at the ballot box if they don't do what the American people want them to do. And this is an all-hands-on-deck moment. We can.
I mean, we're not that far away not enough time has passed since the election for them to be able to speak about what the American people want, and there to be some level of mystery as to what that might be, because, I mean, the election results speak for themselves. So claiming to know what the American people want the Republicans to do in Congress, which is to side with this nonsense they're throwing out there, it's just bizarre, right? But again, I mean, these clips are what hit Rachel Maddow's show and other ones like that, and it keeps the base going, but the base is dwindling rapidly for the Democrat Party.
Cannot, as members of Congress, do this alone. We need grassroots activists. We need our attorney generals in the states who have been suing. We need affiliate organizations who are suing in the courts. This is an all-hands-on-deck moment to save American democracy and to save the services and programs that the American people expect government to provide to them, whether it is keeping them safe through the FBI or whether it is to ensure they can get health care and that if they're on Medicaid, they'll be able to get it. You cannot count on 215 to overcome 218 without those 3.
We have time for 1 or 2 more questions over there. Can you identify yourself and your organization, please?
Kristen Escal with News Nation. You're looking at what happened with Chris Wray leaving his role before the end of his term, assuming that in a few years there's a Democratic president who may not want to keep Kash Patel around should he be confirmed. Are you concerned about this position moving away from the 10-year terms, or do you think it should be a position where perhaps each president can choose their own FBI director?
I mean, my quick take, I'll give everybody else a chance too, is I like the 10-year term approach. I thought it helped to shield directors from, politics.
10-year term? What is he talking about here?
So we don't want them turning over just with every administration. I would note, though, that we've kind of moved away from that over the years. Sometimes we've had people that have left early or been, now fired, as happened with Director Wray. But I got to say, though, if, Patel is still there and we get a Democrat in the White House in 4 years, I think he should definitely go. He shouldn't be there to start with. And, a guy with this kind of conduct who wouldn't even be allowed to be an FBI agent. This is almost as bad as the DOD scenario where the Secretary of Defense would have gotten washed out as a private for the conduct that he exhibited that was demonstrated at the confirmation hearings. I think you replace those guys. Now, I'll stop there. I'll give everybody else a chance if they want to as well.
Well, I would just add that we are not in normal times. And so there's a false premise where folks are asking us normal questions. and wanting us to behave normally when we are walking right into a constitutional crisis. There is nothing that is happening.
How many different tactics are going to try and hit Trump and Republicans with? We're not in normal times. What does that mean? Is there some action that or some special power that gives you? We're in a constitutional crisis. Wasn't that what they were shouting 4 years ago, and it didn't really stick? And yet they're trying it again here.
From the Republicans, that is normal. And every single person should be afraid. They should be afraid that they will have no more rights, no more freedoms. They will have no more eggs.
Okay, thank you very much. I got to rewind that one to play it again. You're getting pretty serious, trying to scare people. You have no more rights, no more freedoms, and you won't have any eggs. Like, what? I mean, if there were any tells to show you that somebody's super desperate, just like grasping at straws to try to, get people convinced to come over to their side and vote. It's bizarre. They're just absolutely bizarre. And look at this guy's face. He's like, "What did you just say? Are you kidding me?" He's probably thinking that he's sealed the deal. He's going to get new committee assignments as soon as they get back into power, and then, this thing's kind of not going exactly as they had planned.
Exhibited that was demonstrated at the confirmation.
I just want to hear her
hearings.
say that again.
I think you replaced those guys. Now, I'll stop there. I'll give everybody else a chance if they want to as well.
Well, I would just add that we are not in normal times. And so there's a false premise where folks are asking us normal questions and wanting us to behave normally when we are walking right into a constitutional crisis. There is nothing that is happening from the Republicans that is normal. And every single person should be afraid. They should be afraid that they will have no more rights, no more freedoms. They will have no more eggs. They will have no more privacy. They will have no more access to the government, to services that they deserve, because the folks who are coming in, who are getting confirmed, are more interested in pleasing Donald Trump than they are in building up the United States. And my question is, not one person has said, "I love this country. I'm here to fight for this country." Not one of them who is getting confirmed has said that. You asked about FISA. I mean, we've been here for over a month. They have the White House, the Senate, and Congress. We should be having substantive bills coming to the floor every single day. Donald Trump told them to work it out, and they're running up into their conferences, and who knows what.
He wants one really big bill that has quite a few things in it instead of a series of them. So she's mischaracterizing the reality of what's going on. Again, like the egg situation, I mean, I'm just astonished that that's even being brought up in this way.
What they're doing, but they are not bringing substantive bills like that to the floor. They don't have a plan other than making sure that they say yes to Donald Trump. And Donald Trump's plan is to make them irrelevant and to govern by executive order. That is not normal.
Okay, folks, we appreciate your time, and we know
just give her a side eye.
wrap up. So thanks again for coming, and any final words from the members here, and then we'll wrap up and conclude our press conference.
Thanks to all of you for coming. It's a rare press conference where James Brown and Rick James get mentioned, but thanks for coming out.
Black History Month.
That's true.
That's right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all.
Yeah, pretty crazy stuff here. Pretty crazy stuff going on. Let me see if I can bring. Does this work? Nope, not working. Not working. I mean, this is the bottom line of it all for me. Okay. One sec. Let me get this up on the screen. Got that up there. Bear with me, guys. Hang on. Got it up on the horizontal stream. Need to put it up on the vertical stream as well. Other one. All right. This is the bottom line of it. And Democrats, while they're so excited about tightening up their messaging as to being what's going to enable them to regain power and give some kind of outcome from their fighting. I don't even know what their fighting entails. Like, what are they exactly doing? Here's the disconnect that's happened. with the Democrat Party, right? They've pointed to GDP, they've pointed to the unemployment rate, they've pointed to the stock market as signs of economic success and how great everything is out there in the environment. But what they fail to realize is if the system is broken and you keep printing money and throwing it into that broken system, it's going to inflate asset prices, which is what's happened to the stock market, to real estate. And that also actually harms the middle class in terms of property tax values or costs going up significantly. Looking at the data that you see up on the screen here from the bottom up, 21% of folks skip medical care, and it's not just like, oh, I'm going to go get a flu shot here, I'll skip that. It's not that. They're actually skipping out on medicines that they need, critical procedures that they need. All of that's getting skipped out on. Almost a quarter of the country now skips meals in order to make ends meet. Gen Z leading the pack on that front, so much so that 71% of Gen Z says that they have trouble making rent payments month to month. 71%. Again, mentioned this earlier, but it should not be something that's taken for granted, because it needs to be addressed. 71% of them have trouble paying rent month to month. This is exactly why Trump effectively had a landslide with the youth vote on that space. And then, of course, half the country now is saying that they have difficulty paying rent on a month-to-month basis. So the metrics the Democrats talk about and claim victory on and want you to feel like that's your scoreboard, that's telling you how you are doing, it's completely wrong. Yeah, 401ks have gone up and so forth, but daily life for a vast majority of folks is not what they would have wanted it to be. So you have to look beyond just the data that's kind of presented out there. You have to look way beyond that and find other real data that's going to speak to how individuals are doing, how households are doing. Democrats don't want to talk about that. I don't understand why, because they claim to be the party of workers and people, and it's just not the case when you look at it practically speaking and in reality. And look, TA, clockwork. Hey, TA, what's going on? It's really easy to see the difference between the natural outcomes of right versus left policies. The state voted almost unanimously red this election cycle, almost the worst states to live in. Okay. Blue are the top 10 states to live in. What are the top states to live in? Top states to live in. I'm just curious because I don't know. Oh, it's that U.S. News thing. Okay. Utah's the number 1 state. Okay. That's a red state. New Hampshire. I have no idea what it is. Nebraska. Really? Nebraska? That's crazy. What's going on in Nebraska? Minnesota, of course, that's blue. Idaho's red. Iowa's red. Vermont. Isn't that where Bernie's from? Washington State. Florida, red. Massachusetts. Okay. Seems kind of 50-50 here. The top 10. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it seems 50-50 so far. If it's this U.S. News one that you're looking at. I don't know. So, anyway, guys. I'm going to dive deeper into some of the economic data for future live streams and future content, because there's a massive push right now in terms of outsourcing. And are we really in a mode that we want to be in a endless game to just drive ourselves to zero? Is that really the type of scenario that we want to be in? Tucker Carlson spoke about how he doesn't want to displace transportation workers if autonomous vehicles really become a reality, and you can have 18-wheelers that are autonomous and not have to have people driving them. I mean, that scenario can get phased in over time. It doesn't have to be overnight. But that scenario, at a minimum, there's innovation involved. There should be, I mean, technically speaking, a more safe roadways with those scenarios. There's benefit that's happening with it, right? There's value that's coming along with it, and we just have to navigate people to the right place or help them navigate to the right place where they can reclaim their livelihoods. But the drive to zero, H-1B, which every H-1B person that comes here, they're accompanied by dozens and dozens of folks offshore that have displaced American workers. That system is being abused to bring somebody at half the cost to work in the States and to displace people for a quarter of the cost somewhere else. Is that really creating value, or is that a drive to zero? Is that in the interest of the United States to pursue that? And I know a lot of folks probably be like, hey, what's the deal with conservatives talking about workers and stuff? It's always been there. It's always been a part of the equation, right? It's America first is the thought process. It's always been it. Free markets originally were intended for individual freedoms, to help somebody build something on their own without having, somebody holding them back. We're in a very different state now, where individuals are not set up to thrive. The system is not set up to benefit individuals so that they can create, great livelihoods and ascend if they continue to put in good effort and ingenuity. So the concepts of it, it all is founded in classical liberalism, which is now modern conservatism. So I don't know what the liberals are anymore. Liberalism is actually in the Conservative Party, oddly enough. But those principles have always been there, just haven't been articulated fully because a lot of people just kind of get locked up with the ideas of capitalism, which that has brought great success. But when the system begins to get manipulated and there is harm to the well-being of society, we got to take a look at it, right? Is there value creation happening? Are we encouraging the right behaviors? You go down the checklist of just a few simple questions, and I think it leads you to the answer of we need to take a hard look at how things are being approached right now. So I'm hopeful that might be something that comes up next, where they take a look at those programs and adjust them. All right, guys, I'm gonna close it out here. What is the timestamp that we got going on here? All right, just under an hour and a half. Pretty good. Sorry, it was a very late stream. I know we didn't get as much viewership out there just because of being so doggone late, but I was up, so I thought I'd jump online and just kind of take a look at a couple of things here. All right, guys. We'll see you during normal business hours. How about that?
Behind the screen, wisdom surges, lighting up hate with her eyes. In the shadows, secrets lurk. She exposes, she ignites. With every post, she does the work, unmasking darkness, revealing lights. Political cow, the beacon bright, unveiling truth, banishing night. With every post, she does the work, unmasking darkness, revealing lights. Oh, what political cow, the beacon bright, unveiling truth, banishing night. Her voice cuts through, stark and raw, shattering deception, breaking the law. Icons crumble, empires fall. She stands tall, fierce and cold. Her voice echoes a thunderous call. In the chaos, her strength unfolds. False prophets scatter, truth ascends. The world watches, mesmerized. Political cows, battle never ends. In her light, dark meets its demise. Political cow, the beacon bright, unveiling truth. truth ascends, the world watches, mesmerized. Political cows battle never ends, and in her light, dark meets its demise.